to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson. On this Wednesday afternoon, we hope everybody's being safe. Of course, doing your part, practicing social distancing, washing your hands, staying out of contact with each other. You guys, I know everybody has heard the whole rift that's gone on. Just want to remind people of that as well. Also want to send a shout out to our first responders and our healthcare workers, as we always do each and every day. Very important. We know they're working tirelessly right now, day in and day out. It's always a grind in general just for these folks, but especially right now. Like I said before, listen, if you see one of them, don't shake their hand. Just let them know you appreciate them, because it goes a long way. It's right now we need them more than ever, and they have stepped up and are doing their part, and we're so gracious for it. Waiting on Coach K to join us right here on the show. Remember, we're practicing social distancing ourselves. Coach K being at his house right now. It's interesting. We got a lot to talk about today. I know this Wednesday there's so much going on. It's been a blessing almost. I know that for people, I've always said this. I said this on the Sports Drive with Chad as well, is if sports being taken away right now is our biggest problem, if you're sitting at home right now and that's your biggest complaint in all this, just think about how blessed you are right now, because that's the thing. Same thing I have to remind myself. I am not criticizing anybody in any form or fashion. But I just have to remind myself that I'm very blessed. I have a healthy family. I have a great job here. I live in a great city of Pensacola. I'm proud to live here. I'm proud to call this my hometown. And I know some amazing people, and it's been amazing and I want to just throw this out there because I don't think it's been said enough, how great Pensacola has been through all this. We have really stepped up and done our part, helping each other out, just whether you're going to the grocery store or going out to get some takeout for somebody, we have really supported each other, and it's been awesome. This is a time that we will never forget, and it's been something different for everybody. We're all going through this together.
Can you hear me, JP?
I can, Coach. Hey, how you doing today?
All right. Second, your appreciation for our first responders, which includes so many people. And keep in mind law enforcement and now our National Guard and certainly the doctors and nurses and people that have to work in grocery stores and other places that have to stay open at this point. So we appreciate them all.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. That's another thing, is the people at the grocery stores and all these other stores like that, practice patience with these folks. They're going through a lot as well. I mean, they're sitting there, and for some of them, I know it's got to be tough, but we all need a job at this point, and that's another thing, is remember, folks, if you need a job, these people are hiring. Nonetheless, I'll say for everybody across the board here, practice patience. This is different for everybody. But, Coach, we have so much to talk about in such a little bit of time here. I want to remind people, if you have questions, comments, maybe something you want to talk about as well with football, 850-623-1330 is the number. That is 850-623-1330. Give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind. We definitely love the questions. Coach, I want to start with a couple things here. Now, the big news, I guess it's not really big news. It's more maybe we were given something we didn't believe we were going to get, and that is Sean Payton saying that Drew Brees is coming back for his final year. Now, this is interesting the way this is put. Now, he was discussing the current and future plans for quarterback Taysom Hill on ESPN, and, well, he said the unique situation with our team and with our quarterback Drew Brees, he's announced he's coming back for his final season. Now, he may have misspoke, Coach. I'm not sure on all this. We know that, look, Brees, it was rumored. He said that he was going to think about, this was at the Pro Bowl, coming back or retiring this year, and he came back, kind of like we thought he would. He signed a 2-year deal, which sometimes that doesn't mean a whole lot. it just kind of secures things there out of respect for him. But Coach, when you look at this, for what with Sean Payton saying this, do you believe there is some belief that this is Drew Brees' final year?
Well, it could be. It could be something that Breeze has said to him privately that he hasn't announced. I don't think it would be a good thing to announce it anyway. I think he should have just let that lie because listen, Drew Brees could have a heck of a year and decide to come back. I think he could play another year after this, based on what I'm seeing right now, what I saw last year. Now, if there's a drop off, or if he has some other problems somewhere that have occurred, reoccurred, or whatever, then that's something we don't know about. But for the most part, I would think they'd just be quiet about 1 year.
Yeah, I know. Well, Coach, for Patriot fans, they're still. I think this won't hit them until the season starts with Tom Brady not being a quarterback in New England. And I think for Saints fans, it's been Drew Brees for so long and through so many tough times. When you think about Katrina and everything that's gone on, and how he was always that guy that rounded the crew up and got everybody excited, and was always he is such a model citizen. If you want to talk about off the field, and we know, of course, him and his wife donating $5 million to the city there to help with feeding families and everything. And we know he owns a lot of businesses, so it's awesome to see that on their part. They've always been like that. That's why I think people love him so much. And we see players that are awesome, that play on the field are bar none the best there is, but it's the person off the field that really sets the standard for me. And that's why I love about Drew Brees and his family, and I think they've done such a good job. Coach, stepping over this, the next thing, Taysom Hill sees himself as a quarterback, and Sean Payton says, so do we. Now, this comes, remember, the Saints re-signed Drew Brees, but they put a first-round tender on Taysom Hill, and a lot of people kind of scratching their heads saying, well, a first-round tender. I think that was more along the lines of what he means to their team. But, Coach, we hear this, and look, Sean Payton said, first and foremost, we still view him as a quarterback. We spent a lot of time this offseason discussing our vision for him this season at quarterback. Payton said Hill is too good an athlete to spend game days on the sidelines holding a clipboard, which I agree with. He's a tremendous blocker. I don't think people realize how fast he is, and he's one of the 2 or 3 fastest guys on our team. I think Taysom sees himself as being a starting quarterback in the league, and we do too. Hill will get plenty of reps at quarterback and with the first-string offense because the Saints believe the 41-year-old Brees, well, will benefit from time off in practice. Coach, when you look at this for Taysom Hill, this is a guy that was a 52% passer at BYU in college, and I know that doesn't tell the whole story. Look, we've seen guys like Patrick Mahomes have not as much success in college and move on. But Taysom Hill, this is a guy that's the perfect gadget guy in the NFL. I'm sure a lot of teams would love him. Not sure they're willing to give a first-round draft pick for him. But, Coach, when you see Taysom Hill, do you think that they're trying to keep him happy right now just because he wants to play quarterback and they maybe will move on later on? Or do you think Sean Payton and them are really going to try to make this work?
Listen, I think that Taysom Hill is one of the most valuable players in the league. Uh, One of the rare individuals who could literally play maybe 3 different. I could think of easily 3 different, maybe 4 different positions on a National Football League field on Sunday afternoon against the best. Now, let me tell you something. That says something. If you really think about it, how many people are qualified just to play one position on any Sunday afternoon on an NFL field? How many? They're not too many. Now, a guy that could play 3 or 4, it's just absolutely amazing. He's one of the very few, and I think he's an extremely valuable uh, football player. He's a valuable team member. I think he's got just excellent character and is a boost to the whole football team. Now, certainly he wants to play quarterback. If anybody's ever played the position and they have some skill, you probably want to play that position. So, yeah, he could play it. But right now, with Drew Brees at quarterback, him as a change up on some things and playing the different positions, I think is a valuable weapon. I don't think they would be as strong as if he was the quarterback only. and not available to play these other positions. Anyway, that's my take on it.
850-623-1330 is the number. Caller, who's this?
This is Lee. Hey, listen, I got a quick question. I don't know if it's on topic or not. I just thought about you guys, and you cover a lot of territory. Why in the devil, but you use some other words, isn't the president and whoever, the CDC, we have these ships, an isolated statistical group of thousands. Why aren't they getting the medicine out there to them?
Hey, Lee.
And giving it to the folks? Yes.
Lee, this is I think you're looking for news radio. This is ESPN Pensacola. All right, Coach. Well, you know what? That happens from time to time. People still think this is new AM news radio over there, 92.3. Well, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I didn't want to get into that, Coach. No, getting back to what we were talking about, though, Coach, I agree. I think for Taysom Hill, I want to bring this up because, Coach, this is something where we saw Tim Tebow wanted to play quarterback in the NFL. And this is kind of, I know it's a different type of player here for Taysom Hill. He's a little more athletic, and I'm not downing Tim Tebow just because of his build and the athletic ability Taysom Hill has. Coach, Tebow is a guy that I believe if he would have went to play a tight end position or a fullback position or something else, that he might still be playing in the league. Now, I know he made that decision on his own, but when I look at Taysom Hill, I hate to cut a guy short like this just because you want to play quarterback. I understand that. Look, I agree with you. I think he will sell himself short to play in this league a long time if he wants to just play quarterback.
Well, if he can play quarterback, he'll play longer at quarterback than he will taking a beating at running back or receiver or wherever. There's no doubt about that. But and that may be one reason he's thinking about settling in on that position. But using Tim Tebow as an example, I think is good. He and Tebow are a lot alike. I felt that Tebow, and said so publicly, I felt that Tebow could have been like an H-back like New England could use him, H-back, a back, a quarterback, a slot. He could have played a number of different things for any number of teams. But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to play the quarterback position and quarterback position only. So, I don't know for sure. I would have no way of knowing for sure. I would never get that information out of him. But I would bet you that Belichick talked to Tebow when he went to New England, talked to him about doing something like that, and Tebow didn't want to do it. I almost feel like that happened. I really do. It was too obvious to me.
Yeah, and that's when he went to New England, Coach. That's where I thought, okay, now this is where he's going to change his position. And what a guy to play for Belichick than Tebow right there. That is just what an awesome matchup you're talking about with two guys that everybody, when you look at Belichick and how his mind is just in general, and then Tebow, how loved he was. The guy that didn't really care what anybody thought of him. He was going to live his life the right way, and that's the way he believed. It's gonna be interesting. And for Coach, and one last thing, and we'll get off the topic right here of the New Orleans Saints. Do you think that I know that Breeze could possibly play 2 more years? Who knows? But the Saints should start looking for a quarterback. I mean, in the draft, maybe. I'm not saying this year, but if they could get a guy maybe in the 4th round or something that they like, should they go in that direction?
I think that would be a prudent way to go myself. But, I think they have said that because of Hill playing other positions and so on, they have to go with 3 quarterbacks. Hill can't be the only backup when you could get it's of course much more common for running backs, receivers, people, special teams like he does, all the other things that he does. He's got a better chance of being injured than he would be at the quarterback position. So, or certainly over there waiting for a quarterback on the bench, waiting for a quarterback to go down. So they have to carry 3. This might be the ideal opportunity. You don't have to go up and trade up to get one, but there are going to be some quarterbacks down in that probably 3rd, 4th round that would be worth bringing in just to use for that particular purpose. So I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, because when we look at the depth chart right now, of course, you have Drew Brees and Taysom Hill, and that's it. And that's because Teddy Bridgewater is now in Carolina. So, just an interesting thing there, Coach. I agree with you. I think if they could if they could find a guy like Jake Fromm in the third round, that would be probably a steal when you look at it long term.
Oh, Lord, yeah, that would be a steal. Yeah.
Coach, I want to talk about Frank Reich. I know he's a close friend of yours. He's been on our show plenty of times here. Talking about the signing of Phillip Rivers. Now, there's a lot of naysayers out there with Phillip Rivers saying he's washed up. He's not the same guy. Things have changed. Well, I think him being 38, of course, he's not the same guy. But look, Frank Reich comes out and says, obviously, when it came out that Phillip was going to be available, it was an easy discussion to see that he was a fit with us. Does he still have it all left in the tank at 38? What does he have left in the tank at 38? Just having been there on the inside for 3 years, I was knowing the quarterback position like I do. I was confident that physically he was the right player and that he had lost nothing. All of the throws I saw on film, as I go back and study him compared to previous throws, I really didn't notice any physical gifts diminishing at all. I really didn't. Coach, when you look at this, I know that Jim Irsay came out and spoke highly of Phillip as well, and I know we've talked about this a little bit. With Frank Reich, I have all the respect in the world. This is a guy that, look, they even came out and said, we looked at Tom Brady, but we just couldn't make it work. So with Phillip Rivers right here, we've talked about it, Coach. They have the offensive line. They have the good young backs. They have a guy in Paris Campbell that we don't even know what he is going to be in his ceiling because he is one of the fastest guys in the NFL. And we have T.Y. Hilton over there. And look, this is a defense, a good young defense that's ready to go now in a division that's not as competitive now with Houston and what happened there. This is a time that, for Indy they could strike. But when you look at this, for Phillip Rivers, Frank Reich coming out, do you think that, with Frank Reich, that this is just some media, I guess, hype for Phillip Rivers, or did he truly believes this?
You saying did Frank Reich believe that? Yeah, if Frank said it, he believed it. He's one of the most down-to-earth, honest people you've ever been around, and no, Frank would not go overboard for anybody. But I think his relationship with Rivers is outstanding. Obviously, it's outstanding. He was the offensive coordinator at San Diego a few years ago with Rivers, and he had some good years. And listen, I think this is a golden opportunity for Phillip Rivers. I thought it was a good opportunity for Brady, and I've said that openly on the air. To be able to play with what you've talked about, the talent, and I won't regurgitate that. They're a good football team, and they're a football team on the rise. I mean, they could. This is a football team that could be in the playoffs very easily this year, and might have a chance to go all the way. But in addition to all the talent that you've talked about, JP, is the fact that they play in a dome, which puts Rivers, now not that he was in a terrible climate situation because he hasn't been, but playing in that dome, I think, will give him even more protection. And I just think it's a good situation, a good marriage. It's a good situation for him, good situation. Other than Brady, this is the best situation the coach could have run into.
Yeah, I think, Coach, it's going to come down to it's almost like, Phillip Rivers will look younger in this offense. And I agree with you, the dome situation. And he's back with guys that he knows. He knows exactly what's expected of him. I think that goes a long way when it's all said and done. Listen, we're up against a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NFL getting plenty of criticism about planning for a full season with fans. Todd McShay's 4.0 mock draft. And, well, Joe Theismann letting you know his feelings about the Washington Redskins. All that's coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text. Stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. Now, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's being safe out there, doing your part. Coach, I want to get into a couple things here now. Look, we know that the draft coming up, the NFL is preparing as if, well, everything's going to be fine. You know, we already talked about for the draft itself, the teams are not going to be in Vegas. We already know that. They're going to do it remotely, and they're setting up where they're sending out camera kits to certain big players and college coaches and things like that so they can even do their speaking and whatever they want to do for the media part of it to try to make it as normal as possible for a lot of people. There's criticism with the draft, but we'll get into that in a minute. The NFL is preparing. They said they're preparing for a season like any other. Basically, fans being in attendance right now and that they're going to play a full 16-game season. Coach, and they're getting a lot of criticism for this. When I look at this, I don't criticize them because I think until you don't have to make that decision right now. We have no idea what's going to happen with all this. Do you have a problem with the NFL preparing as if this is going to be a regular season?
Who in the world would criticize the NFL for making that statement? That blows my mind. You know, why would they say anything different? That would be an insult to me. Listen, I guess the alternative would be to say nothing. but that insinuates that there's a problem and we may not be playing. They need to say exactly what they said. This country needs it needs to have hope to hang on to, and certainly to think that we wouldn't have a football season would be terribly detrimental. It's like during World War II, Franklin Roosevelt instructed baseball to keep playing because the country needed the diversion. They needed they didn't need to lose a tradition like that, and it's no different. And I don't see any reason why football can't. Now it could be that they have to come up with some way to play football and pro football without people in the stands. Now they're not going to do this. Believe me, the National Football League is not going to do this in any way that would put people in danger and create controversy and criticism from the public and from the politicians. They're just not going to do that. But if they can't do it safely, there may be a way to do it, follow the same season, everything else, and do it in a way that spectators are not involved, except through television. Now, you could feasibly do that. It's been often rumored for years that the NFL could really just go with expanded television contracts and coverage, and do away with these big venues and stadium up, all the other things to do with the logistics involved with a stadium full of people. So anyway, it's food for thought. It's worth talking about, I guess, but it is somewhat insulting, really, for people to question the NFL saying they're going to play on time. And listen, this country is going to get back to normal, and we're going to get over this. Our economy is going to rebound, and all of our traditions and all the things that we do in this country for relaxation, for leisure, for enjoyment are going to be there. So let's get on with it, and let's don't live in the negative. Let's live in the positive.
Coach, I agree with you there, and that was as American of a statement as you could make. I agree. I think, look, sports that's the greatest thing with sports, and that's, it's a way out for a lot of people, and it's a way for families to come together. And I like I said earlier in the show, if the sports being gone right now is your worst problem, then you're living pretty good. Because remember, this will come back. This is not the end of the world. Okay, we're not promised our next breath, Coach, and I'm not going to get into all that for people, but I was growing up there. You're not promised the next breath. Take advantage of the moments and love everybody here. So, with all this, Coach, I agree. I think for us to want to criticize the NFL for coming out and saying that, what's the problem? If anything, that should be a bright spot. Now, we all know that we have no idea what's going to happen. You have to prepare. The NFL is obviously putting in a place to prepare for changes with the NFL season. But them coming out and saying, look, we're preparing just like it's going to be a regular season, I think that's awesome. Coach, one thing I want to ask with this, when they talk about the draft, and of course, the NFL has come back and said they're considering tweaks to allow teams more time to complete a trade during the draft as well, just because of the situation. Now, they've also said they'll allow teams to have a group of 10 or less people in a room as long as they're practicing social distancing to be able to get this stuff done and make their decisions and things like that. We know that this can be done, Coach, through the telephone or through, with all the technology we have now. In fact, look, Peter King came out with an article that said, worst case scenario, that Roger Goodell could do this at his house in New York, and announce the picks. And look, they said that was worst case scenario. Rich Eisen came on and said, hey, I think that's best case scenario, because what a better way to communicate the necessity to stay inside to stop the spread of the coronavirus than the commissioner of the NFL announcing the picks alone from his house in New York. And I think that's a good point. But what I want to get to here, Coach, is Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network said, look, for what he believes with all this going on and teams not being able to bring certain guys in for certain picks and things like that, or to kind of break them down and see them, for their self here, other than breaking film down, he said he sees that a lot of teams will probably try to hit safe singles instead of those risky triples. And, of course, what he means is take a risk on a guy because maybe you bring a guy in and you like what he's got, and normally you wouldn't pick that guy. Do you see that, Coach? Do you see the teams are maybe going to make that safe pick here instead of that risky one? Or have we already gotten a lot of – I mean, other than the first one that comes to mind, of course, Tua, but outside of him, you kind of already know and have an idea of who you want.
I think that's overstated by Jeremiah. I don't think it's going to be any different than you would normally pick. Maybe a little variance. There's always a little variance every year from year to year. But no, I don't see it being any different. People that have players evaluated are going to they're not going to change that formula, and they're certainly not going to draft somebody that they don't feel is going to do as good a job for their football team in the long run just because he's a quote safer pick. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, Coach, I agree on that. I think it's you pretty much it's going to be set into stone here soon, of course, but guys pretty much know who they want here, with the exception of Tua. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with that. Look, one more thing before we go to break here, and when we come back, remember we're going to hear from Todd McShay. But, Coach, a guy that he's a friend of ours, of course. I know he's a friend of yours as well. Been on the show plenty of times here. Joe Theismann came out, and I think this is hilarious because this is what, Coach, you've been talking about as well. He said the Redskins would be making a huge mistake if they passed on Chase Young for Tua next month, saying simply he doesn't think the quarterback is worth it. That's a little bit different than what we've said. And he said without hesitation, the Redskins said, take Chase Young. I take Chase Young, no doubt. He said that Tua has too many question marks surrounding him heading into the draft. He's not a generational quarterback, Theismann said. Joe Burrow might be, I think so, but Tua is not. I'm not sold on the strength of his arm. And he says, which is a good point here, he believes Young is the best player in the draft regardless, with the Redskins moving to a 4-3 defense. He thinks the pick should be a no-brainer. Coach, you agree or disagree on Joe Theismann's statement right there?
He's got a lot of valid points there, JP, a little number of them. I don't think they could pass on Chase Young. No, I think they got to take him. And even if they moved out of that pick, they're never going to be able to get him because somebody will move in and get him. No, I think they got to take Chase Young right there. And besides, as much as I like Tua, and you like Tua, and most people do, there's that medical question that you cannot neglect. It just, unfortunately, it is something that has to be of paramount interest in the decision-making process. So he's got a lot of good points there, and I think they got to. I agree. I think they've got to take Chase Young.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the other part that sold me is moving to a 4-3 defense. Look, we know that team needs a lot of help, but that's no better player right there, especially with what all the scouts have said as well. Listen, Coach, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Todd McShay as he released his mock draft 4.0, and we're going to see what we think about that as well. He's got some risky moves in there. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
What'd you do this time, Brad?
I'm in the doghouse after my hunting trip last weekend.
Yeah, I was too. I blew off our date.
How'd you get out of the doghouse?
Stillwater's Day and Medical Spa. I got her a gift card. It took 3 minutes at swmedspa.com. She booked it this Saturday.
Saturday? So 9 holes then?
Tea time's at 8.
To enjoy a hassle-free guys' weekend, let her relax at Stillwater's Day and Medical Spa. Visit swmedspa.com. Stillwater's Day and Medical Spa, voted best on the Bay 10 years in a row, and now offering tattoo removal.
First Take, your take.
Number one, if you are Cam Newton going to New England, why in God's name would you want Cam Newton to succeed Tom Brady? You don't want to put Cam Newton in that situation when he's 31 years of age. There are people speculating that we may have very well seen the very, very best of him. You don't want that for him.
1 to 2 weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's safe out there doing their part right here. Listen, we're talking some football with you. Coach, I know it's an everyday thing because, look, the draft is going to be here before we know it, especially those that are quarantined right now, staying in your house. You're jumping on this as well. Todd McShay releasing his mock draft 4.0. Of course, 4.0, this is a lot of things with Todd McShay. He doesn't like to do the whole trades. He's going to say that there are no trades in all this. We know that that's probably not going to be the case, as this could get out of hand depending on the trades, especially once that first one happens. Coach, when you look at this, I know we're fixing to hear from him. He's got some interesting picks, but he talks a lot about the first couple picks here. Listen in to see what he's got to say. Oh, sorry about that. Close this out for you guys. All right, here we go.
Love as low as he did. You've got 4 in the top 10, 4 quarterbacks in the top 10, including Love. How married are you to the idea that that's where this will end up?
I'm not married to it. And I do think that Jordan Love is probably the least likely to be in the top 10, even though I've bet him. But I will say this. I think when we look back in 5 years, he could be the second or third best quarterback of this year's class. Everyone in the league is in love with Joe Burrow. I mean, he's the guy. Coming out of LSU, what he's done, just his background, his pedigree, how tough he is, how he played in the biggest games on the biggest stages. Tua Tagovailoa, they love him the same way. It's just, can he stay healthy? After that, though, it's a big drop-off, and there are a lot of different opinions. I mean, there are guys I talk to in the league that love Herbert. They think that Herbert's going to be a great player. And there are some guys who are like, I wouldn't even go there in the first round, and the same thing with Jordan Love. So it's going to be really interesting to see, especially now that some of the veteran quarterbacks are starting to move around, and there aren't as many teams in the top 15 that really need quarterbacks, but we always see it happen. There's going to be a team or two that moves up because they're so afraid of entering next season without a quarterback that they can at least develop, hopefully become their starter.
Before I move off the quarterbacks, just a thought, because as you and I have had these conversations from college football season till now, they loved Tua the same way they loved Burrow before he got hurt. And granted, you told me before, Burrow was 4th or 5th round before last year's incredible season. So I guess what I'm asking you is, just quarterback for quarterback, side by side, how much different is Tua seen to Burrow if we are able to kind of move health to the side?
If health is put aside, I would take Tua over Burrow, but it would be really close. And there's such a difference from what we saw from a year ago. And part of it is the system. Part of it is the fact that he got a little bit more experience. And Joe Brady, the coordinator, came in and was allowing him to do things that made him succeed. And that's what we see in the league all the time, too. I mean, yes, we all fail when evaluating quarterbacks. We all fail evaluating all of these players sometimes. But what we forget about all the time, it's not just the talent, it's what situation are they in? Are they having a coordinator that's allowing them to do the things that they do best? And I think we saw with Burrow, he's the prime example. But ultimately, just watching the tape, if I was promised that both of these quarterbacks were going to be healthy for the next 10 years, I would take Tua over Burrow, but there's no way I could do that knowing the history of quarterbacks and the injuries in the NFL coming from college.
They both played alongside obscene wide receiver talent and obscene talent overall, and that is evident in this draft. Todd, you have 15 SEC players in the first round. You have a dozen wide receivers in the first two. Which one of those numbers is the most ridiculous in terms of look how many of these guys there are?
We're used to the SEC, right? Yeah. I mean, every year the SEC is right there. The ACC kind of creeps in every once in a while, but the wide receivers, I mean, you got to go back to 2006 to get close. But I think in the last 20 years, if you really study this class, it's not just about having Jerry Jeudy. It's not having, and yes, there's no Calvin Johnson. There's no elite, if you will, like that high-tier player. But the depth of this wide receiver class, I've never seen anything like it. I really haven't. If you need a slot receiver, you're going to take Ayuk and you're going to put him there, and he's going to be the run-after-catch guy, and he's going to, coming out of Arizona State, he's going to be able to create in the return game. If you need speed, just someone on the vertical, just to get down the field, take Ruggs out of Alabama. If you need the best route runner that I've seen in 20 years, Jerry Jeudy's your guy. You have so many different options. T. Higgins is 6'4", 225 pounds, and is going to run a 4.50. And yeah, he's got some flaws to his game, but he's big and physical and can use that size. So anything you're looking for, you can find. It's a matter of when do you wait to go get that guy.
Coach, I think that's kind of something you've alluded to in all this as well, is this draft is as deep as there has been when you look at it from quarterbacks to wide receivers to tackles, anybody you need. There, even defensive linemen here, when you talk about Chase Young, Derek Brown out of Auburn, all these guys, this draft is got to be one of the best. I mean, I know, going through, the years you coached within Buffalo and everything and taking the league as well, can you remember another draft that may be as deep as this one?
This is a deep draft, and we've talked about it quite a bit. It is a deep draft, certainly with receivers. I think with tackles. Now, keep in mind there at some point there's a big drop off, obviously. But when you get 7 people saying that there's 7 tackles, I'm just going to use that position right now as an example. There's 7 tackles that could go in the first round. That means there's 7 really, really good offensive tackles out there who could go start for a football team. But after that, it drops off considerably, okay? Now, with the receivers, yeah, he's right. Tremendous number of receivers. I don't necessarily agree with him on his evaluation of the quarterbacks. I think a lot of Tua and Burrow. But what I saw, and if he's suggesting that Burrow is a product of the system, he's wrong. That system is a very, very typical NFL approach to offensive football, okay? It's tailor-made for Burrow. Absolutely tailor-made for him because he fits that very, very well. Now, being a product of the system might be like people that play at Washington State, for example, or some of the schools where they have a very, very short, precise passing game that doesn't relate to all the NFL throws. That's not the case here. Burrow has just played the best any quarterback has played in 150 years, the entire history of the college football. There's no way. He's number one, and Tua would be just below that at number two, regardless of the medical. Now they'd be very, very close, and I do agree with him. After that, I think there's a drop off because of the unknown. But I am hearing a lot of people like Herbert now, so beware. That could be a Charger draft pick there, Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Coach, going through a couple of Todd McShay's mock draft right here. Of course, no surprise, number 1 overall, Joe Burrow. They have him going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, remember, Todd McShay doesn't add the trades in here just because he have no idea who's going to trade where. Now, so some of this obviously is going to change. This is just what he thinks here. The Redskins taking Chase Young at number 2. I know this is something we both disagree with. The Detroit Lions taking Jeff Okudah at cornerback right there, number 3. That's where we believe there will probably be a trade, obviously. Maybe even number 2, but we'll see what happens. Number 4, Isaiah Simmons, the outside linebacker from Clemson right there, going to the New York Giants. Number 5, the Dolphins taking Tua. And here is where the controversy starts when you talk about it for Todd McShay and Mel Kiper. He has number 6, the Los Angeles Chargers, taking Jordan Love. Now, we'll see. There's a lot of things. We know that, with Todd McShay, he has a bet with Mel Kiper, a $5,000 bet that Jordan Love will be drafted before Justin Herbert. But nonetheless, going down the list, Coach, you look at Derek Brown the defensive tackle going to Carolina there. Moving on, I wanted to talk about, of course, just to touch base on this. Number 14, Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafting Mekhi Becton, the offensive tackle. What you were talking about, I think, is a good point because there are guys that in the first round here, when you're talking about how deep this draft is, that can go start immediately. And Mekhi Becton, we know that offensive line needs some help. Now, Brady is going to help them a lot, but Becton is a 6'7", 364-pounder. This is a big guy, very athletic right there. This is a guy that I believe ran a 5'1" at 364 pounds, which is insane. But out of Louisville, and Coach, with Tom Brady being there now, we know Tampa is obviously in win-now mode. They're not going to waste any time here. Do you see them going offensive tackle in that to help kind of Brady?
I do. I see them being a very, very likely pick for Tampa at that spot. The only thing I think that would change that, JP, would be if they have a very, very high grade on somebody else that they have a higher opinion of than the so-called experts do right now, and they have slipped to them. If that being the case, I think they would take that person, be it a receiver or a defensive player, whomever that might be, and then go back and try to trade back in and get one of the tackles. That would be one reason I think they would not take the and that's always the case. That's nothing unusual. That's always the case with every team. If so and so slips, we gotta take him. But there will be probably 2 on the board where they draft. There are probably 2 up there that they're saying, now if this guy slips, and there's a chance that he could, we're going to have to take him, and then we'll have to come back and get the tackle. But you gotta make allowances for that. You got to prepare for it, and everybody be ready to make that change if the slip occurs.
Coach, with that being said, I think I want to bring this back up. But one more thing before I get to that, actually. In the second round now, this is for the quarterbacks, obviously. Justin Herbert, he is predicting in the top 2 rounds, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Tua, Joe Burrow, and Jacob Eason in the second round going to Pittsburgh. That's his first and second round quarterbacks. Of course, like you said, this is when you get to the second round, especially. When you get past the first probably 5 picks, you have no idea because of what can change here. But Coach, with you saying that, and you have to be ready in all this. Now we know that there's been changes made, of course, for teams. It's going to be a little bit different this year, and the NFL, like I said earlier, has given them an opportunity for a group of 10 or less to meet as long as they practice social distancing to be in there, and basically like their war room. Now, Coach, you've been there, you understand how this goes, but they're allowing them more time to make their picks. Do you think you need more time? I mean, with everything being said right now, is it the right thing for the NFL to give them more time, or is this just something it's just kind of like an add-on for them?
No, it's a good thing. You can always use it. And there will be, keep in mind, the same types of due diligence will be going on between the teams. There'll be phone calls and checking with each other. You always, there's an old axiom that some used to use that you always wait until the last 20 seconds, to put your pick in just before you have to, because at the last minute somebody could call with a trade that could be very beneficial to you. And so you wait till the last minute to put that in. Always have the guy that you're going to draft, always have him on the phone with one of your scouts. Somebody in the room has him on the phone physically talking to him, because you don't want to draft a dead body. Yeah, I say that now. It sounds crazy, but you could draft a guy not knowing where he is or whatever. He may have just stepped out in the street and got hit by a truck, or he may have been crippled in an automobile accident somewhere. So you got to be very, very careful about all those preparations and so on in the draft.
Coach, you know what? I have never heard that, but that makes complete sense just because that's life. I mean, just in general, I think that's a great point. I did not know that. I've never heard that before. But like I said, it makes 100% complete sense in all this, because you're right. I mean, things happen to guys. It's not saying bad, but you hope nothing's wrong. But you're going to draft a guys, period. I don't care if it's first round or seventh round or whatever. You want to make sure that guy's okay. Look, Coach, we're up against a break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about, Adam Schefter talking about some interesting things that could happen here with the draft and the teams and these players, lack of physicals they can get right now because of the coronavirus. And Mike Leach, of course he's in the news, but it's for football, not for some of his crazy comments. All that and more coming right back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
This is Northwest Florida's all sports, all the time station. From Destin to New Orleans, sports fans come here for ESPN and local sports talk. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody's safe out there. We're talking some football with you. Coach, I want to get into something that, I thought it was interesting. Adam Schefter came on and said, of course, with the deals that aren't done right now, these players that have signed deals, they're not officially done until they get their physicals. And, of course, with the coronavirus, it makes it really tough for this to happen. So pretty much most of these deals are not done. Now, he said that what is possible, he's not saying it is going to happen, but if teams find a player in the draft, because these guys are not going to be able to get their physicals, obviously, it seems like, before the draft, if there's a guy that comes available in the draft, a team could draft him and then rescind the offer to the player. Now, Coach, a couple things on this. This is something that could happen, obviously, by the parameters of it. First off, do you see it happening? And second, do you think it would be good to burn a bridge like that, or is this just business?
No, it would be a terrible thing to happen. I don't see it happening at all. In fact, there is probably some type agreement, via fax or whatever, that they're shooting back and forth between the agent and the player. So I don't even see it as being prevalent. I don't see it being any part of football operations.
Yeah, I sure hope not too. I know it's obviously a possibility, but I can't say I can't imagine seeing it, but I sure hope I don't. Coach, I want to jump over here we got a few minutes. Mike Leach, of course, has made some news already at Mississippi State. This is a guy that is no short of words or comments on anything, really. Look, he had a big commitment. ESPN Junior 300 quarterback Sawyer Robertson chose the Bulldogs, and that's a big step forward for him because this is a guy that he really liked. And this is a guy, look, out of Texas that he normally wouldn't be able to get. And Robertson, of course, liking that he is at Mississippi State. He was interested in Mississippi State before. A 6'3", 185-pounder out of Coronado High School. It's a guy that threw for over 7,000 yards and 87 touchdowns his past 2 seasons in high school. Now, this is a guy, of course, he's number 51 overall, but he is one of the top drop-back passers. And when you look at that, that's what Mike Leach wants, is a drop-back passer. The reason I throw this out there is because Leach has already received commitments from 2 other quarterbacks. He's got KJ Costello in there, and he got Vanderbilt transfer Alan Walters. This is a guy that, Coach, when you look, I know that, this is obviously another year. This is 2021. But for this year and the impact that Mike Leach has had on Mississippi State, when you look at what he's got, I know we've mentioned him a little bit, but getting a guy like KJ Costello and getting a guy like Vanderbilt transfer Alan Walters, these are guys he likes, obviously. He's gotten some other transfers in there as well. This Mississippi State team has been lackluster, to say the very least here. But my question I keep getting asked by other fans is, will he be able to play defense in the SEC, or is this going to be a high-scoring affair for him?
Well, great question, but that's always going to be the question. Can they recruit athletes the equivalent of those that they're going to play week in, week out? All right, now here's what they can do. They're not going to be able to do that, I don't think. They've never been able to. Nothing is telling me that they're going to be able to go out there and beat Alabama and LSU and Georgia and and Florida and other teams in recruiting. So that being the case, they've got the coach. I think they've got a coach there that can win despite those odds. Okay, but with the passing game, the unique, unfamiliar passing game that people can't. It's tough to get ready for in a week's time. That will give them an advantage, and it's similar to what years ago, some people in our audience may remember, but years ago, when Bill Peterson went to Florida State, the same situation with Florida State. They couldn't compete for the same talent as Florida and Auburn and all the other schools around, but so they learned how to throw the football as efficiently as anybody in college football, or more efficiently than anybody in college football at that time. Brought the right coaches in, used the Sid Gilman system, and they just threw the ball all over the field and beat people throwing the football because they couldn't match up. They're not going to get up there and blow you off the line of scrimmage and run the football down your throat. That was not going to win for them. So the same is true at Mississippi State. I'm getting to a rather long
we're running out of time, Coach.
story here, but that's they're not going to be able to compete with the same type talent, so it's going to be difficult for them defensively to be an outstanding defensive football team.
Absolutely, Coach. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But, of course, we're out of time. But, Coach, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Always a joy. We always run out of time. Much to talk about.
Yes, sir. We appreciate everybody joining us right here with Talk Football with Coach K. We'll be back tomorrow, same time at 12 o'clock.
A couple of important ones. Major League Baseball has canceled the Cubs-Cardinals London series in June. That was set to take place June 13th and 14th. The two teams were set to play 2 games at West Ham's Olympic Stadium. That will now not happen.